and a lot of people don't realise like what you do as a personal trainer. Yeah. It's not just turning up for a training session and you're going to get massive muscles and then
the classic belief.
Yeah,
it's more than that.
Oh yeah.
Hello wonderful people, how is it going? It's great to see you here again. Today I'm super fortunate to be talking to Lewis. He is someone who started up his own business in the last year, focused around personal training, titled as the MacFit Group. And today we've got an amazing opportunity just to talk about a few things around the fitness world and also around the personal training world itself, to be fair. Yeah. So Lewis, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me.
No, anytime, man. So
long overdue.
It has been. It's been one of those that we've had it in the books for a little while, but ultimately we did have to make sure that we got the best setup for it. You know, it had to. You're getting it in its absolute prime at the moment, but
and being allowed to,
and also
space.
Being inside as well, which is just it's a special little treat. So again, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I mean, I have to dive straight into the world of personal training, really, because again, you're so new into it in the last year or so, but
fresh.
You know, it's an absolutely insane window of time that you've had to go through it. So, I mean, first of all, I'd love to know. I know it's sort of been around a year or so, but when did you start thinking about the idea of being a personal trainer, and what were you doing before?
Cool. So, in terms of like making a change, probably about a year ago now. So like deciding, right, I need to make a change. I want to go after something I should have been doing for a while. Like parents, definitely my mum would have kept pushing me to do something in sport anyway. Like used to do coaching when I was younger at school. But just got to a point where bit of a quarter life crisis.
Quarter life crisis,
quarter life. And I just wasn't happy with what I was doing, so decided to make a change.
And you've always had quite a heavy involvement in the sporting world anyway? Yeah. And then would you say that sort of when it's now come to you being part of or going into the personal training career, that and obviously you wanted to be involved in the fitness world, but do you feel that there's now like an ethos around, you know, how you're actually approaching your personal training, maybe either based off, you know, what you were doing previously, or maybe just, you know, from your own personal experiences?
Yeah, so kind of like my backstory within my own personal training is I got a personal trainer, or loosely whatever you want to call, Czech practitioner, a guy called Steve, who I started working when I was 15. That was when I was like starting to take football a bit more seriously. And then I've kind of learned a lot of what I do now with my clients' assessments and going into their sessions from him. So I owe him a lot of credit. Strive Performance, check them out.
Strive Performance.
Little name
there
drop.
There you go, there's your little name. Always got to love a name drop. Always got to love a name drop.
Steve Linger's like big influence on me as well. So
yeah. That's fantastic, and I think those sort of relationships can be so important, and again that's clearly had quite a significant impact on yourself, massive. Really. So just linked into then sort of, you know, the last year or so, you know, you started up the MacFit Group. That was something that kicked in relatively, I think, did you start that at the same time that you like almost or just finished your training, or?
Yeah, so choosing a kind of a name or a brand was quite important, but then you can overthink it. So
100%.
Just went with the name and kind of fit.
Yeah.
People liked it, but that's not really important to me. What's important is like what people are getting out of.
Yeah.
And trying to build a little community and.
So where were you having to sort of work out of during the lockdown window? If you were even able to work out of anywhere.
So lockdown we're in and out so car parks, like open spaces, it all depends on like the regulations and the rules that they brought in. So 1 minute we could be outside the gym in a car park, the next minute we couldn't, so it was like -8 and you're outside in the field. But I think it just shows how dedicated people are to looking after themselves.
It was a harsh set of weeks as well. I follow your Instagram page, and I saw on so many occasions either you're getting absolutely smashed by the rain or it started snowing, and as you say, like the commitment of the people that were there.
No questions asked either. All they asked was, when are we training?
Which is ultimately testament to maybe the ethos that you've started to bring into the work itself, which is great. And sort of linked into that, really, obviously you've had to move away in that window of time, at least, being focused on just being in a gym environment, in an indoor space. So you basically had to be super interchangeable over the last year. And do you feel that maybe you've actually benefited from that in some way? And do you think that, actually your practice might improve, or maybe you will adjust what you do within your practice based off what you did then?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I had to adapt massively. It was good because you can build a lot of consistency with the equipment I had at the time. Obviously invested in equipment to make outside training work as well, but a lot of patience from clients and patience from myself with what we could do, but still being able to train people and see progression throughout a lockdown was pretty satisfying. So no, it was good.
Yeah, because I imagine that in some regard, actually, you had to get even more creative with your practice, whereas, before you could have probably relied on some specific compound movements and then obviously the variations based on who your clients were. But
I mean, you've seen everybody get on the resistance band hype at home, and
does it do a job?
Yeah,
is it worth it?
Yeah, definitely. If bands are used in the right way, there's loads of adaptations that can take place there, so no, it's good.
I mean, there's a whole point that I want to make around that in relation to social media anyway, but we'll come on to that. But we'll keep actually a little bit of a focus around an online presence, simply because, over the last, it's been happening for years already, but I think it's only been accelerated probably by the situation that we were in the last year, just around the accessibility of online resources, also things like Peloton, where you invest in this really big piece of equipment, but it's this all-encompassing thing. Same with just YouTube channels around Body Fit, so the Joe Wick stuff. But do you think that almost, it might not even necessarily be just a result of the lockdown, but do you think that personal trainers are going to have to change the way in which they work or maybe operate based on how society's going?
Yeah, so I think even still with the gyms opening, I know that the numbers are not as good as what they were. People still a bit wary, which is understandable, about feeling safe in a gym environment. But a lot of people chose to go online, and that's just another spectrum of how you coach people and what you're offering them, really. So, but you've got the body coach and all different aspects of training that can be done online. Like the Peloton, a couple of my clients have got the bikes and they like it because they get on there and then there's no way, there's no getting out of it. They're there and they just need to get it done. So I think it's just having that accountability with the online coaching as well.
Yeah.
No, it's not just a check-in platform. It's you can either transition to being an online coach or offering it.
And do you
as well?
Yeah.
So.
Did you enjoy doing? Because I imagine obviously over the last year that was a main sort of proportion of what you were doing. Did you enjoy getting involved in sort of that type of personal training?
So the online, I only took on a few online coaching clients. That basically they just needed direction and structure. Lockdown got to quite a lot of people. So, but I don't enjoy it as much as one-to-one. It's not something that I focus on. Yeah. Maybe in the future. I know a lot of coaches that have been in the game a long time want to transition to online coaching, but for now, one-to-one, interacting with people face to face that's where I want to be. So ultimately, building my experience and building my skills, really. So
because at the core of what personal training is, I think that even in the title itself of being personal, I think you can obviously be personable over an online platform, but maybe in comparison to what you get to experience on a face-to-face basis, there is still some difference that exists there.
Oh, huge.
Yeah. But what would be, I'm interested to get your perspective on is that when it comes to people being, injured or maybe not feeling particularly well, you know, what they often will do is that they'll go online and then they'll search up their symptoms and then they'll, you know, sort of makeshift a diagnosis in some sense. But again, with sort of the development of technology within the fitness world, you know, with anything that can track absolutely everything, do you think that there will also maybe become that time where almost personal trainers themselves are not getting heard in the way that they need because people are maybe becoming over reliant on, you know, a piece of technology?
Yeah, well, I mean, you have the whole like people looking at their watches to see how many calories they've burned, and like they're not accurate measures of like actually what's going on inside your body or progress. But yeah, on that point, like people looking online or well, it doesn't matter what. As a personal trainer, you can give them all of the tools they need or to get to where they want to be, but it always comes down to that individual. But then that's still our job to get the most out of them.
So it's that ultimately it comes down to how much motivation that individual has. But, you know, it might be in the case of a personal trainer where you're basically trained around those particular areas and you're going to probably be able to navigate them in the most optimal way that you could.
I mean, every client's different as well. Like, that's the whole kind of like game.
Yeah, I imagine it's quite enjoyable though, being able to just constantly flip between different.
Yeah, like everybody's mindset is completely different. So knowing how to get the most out of one individual can be completely different to another. So.
Just on a side note around there, do you feel that like with each client, because it is personal, that sometimes you feel, you know, because I know how much you learn and research in your spare time, we've spoken about that before, but do you feel that sometimes it's actually that like you'll get to an evening and go, oh, I've got, you know, this client today, I think I might try and learn about this and this to help them? Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. So, and even if there's clients that have things that I don't know about, that, like you said, I'll go away, research, find out what I could potentially help them with, or if I can't, I'll outsource it to somebody like who's at a higher level of like ability than myself that could help them. That's always important. Like if you don't know, either go and find out yourself or leave it to somebody else that's in a better position.
100%, man, definitely. And I mean, obviously it's crazy to think how long how quickly that year has gone in some sense, because I know you were working in one particular place at, you know, for the majority of the lockdown window or sort of in more recent months, but where are you currently working?
So yeah, as you said, I started off at Bridge Fitness.
Shout out to Bridge Fitness.
Yeah, shout out to Bridge. So, but now, I'm moving to the Barn Bootcamp, or the Barn Gym as well, with my good friend Adam Wright. Another name drop.
Adam Wright.
So, so basically I've moved there now.
When did that happen, and what made that happen?
So it was kind of in January, lockdown, when we were back in lockdown again. He just gave me a call, asked me to come down and check the place out. And not really much else. The rest is history. I mean, started working together, and obviously that was supposed to be the opening date, January. We had to wait patiently for the start of lockdown to end, and since then the boot camp has just taken off. So,
if you have not seen this particular, you need to search this up, because it is. Do you mind sort of contextualizing it a little bit? Like, what does this space look like?
So, the Barn Bootcamp is obviously an outdoor space. It's kind of like a boutique boot camp, I like to think.
Boutique boot camp.
Yeah, it's like fancy. As some people have said, it's a bit fancier than just turning up in a field or like your standard boot camp. The results are there already for people to see, of like how we map everything out from the beginning of their journey to find out their pain points, why they're here, what they want to achieve, like learn more about them as a person, and then map out every step of the way, like nutrition, training, and then to get them like ultimately to their result that they want to get to, that they've seen, and now they're like, I'm ready to commit. And then just like when you start something, you never really know how you're going to build a community kind of like aspect, but like Facebook members group. We've had the Barn Games just gone this weekend.
I was actually going to ask about that because it looked, again, from what I saw, it looked amazing. Like, what was that all about?
So it was kind of like the first block of people that have finished their 6-week challenge. It was a bit of a celebration of kind of our opening party that we didn't really have, obviously, because of lockdown. We did it in like kind of like a Champions League style group stage. Get through to the quarterfinals, semis, and final, which was like absolutely epic.
With the weekend just gone as well, when it was beautiful sun.
Yeah. And obviously because people come in different time slots, and they kind of stay the same. Like you have your 7 o'clock crew, then the evening crew, and nobody had really mingled properly, obviously because of restrictions. So it was great to just get everyone together, and they all met up for the first time. And then you put a face to a name that you've seen on Facebook and you've spoken to in the group, and so it was really good. Couldn't have gone any better today. So
it feels really community orientated, or at least it's starting to build that way.
Everyone's like really supportive, and everybody's like driving towards the same goal. So it doesn't matter what pace they're going at. Everyone's like.
I think that's again just the special thing about having a physical space to go to and be a part of, because as you say, that even by just having that single barn game, and I'm guessing it's going to be repeated. It's going to probably yeah. So I mean, you've now got like this instant community connection that's starting to be built really quickly, which ties in quite nicely to what I wanted to sort of lead into next, was just around the sort of the differences between sort of a one-to-one and then group, because I know at Barn Fitness something that you do, or certainly some of the sessions that I've seen you do, is that you've got like 6-8 people, well, to be honest I've probably seen more than that, but all doing a workout in the same space, not necessarily the same thing. But do you feel that you get like this sense of community or team ethos like sort of come out through these group sessions?
Oh, definitely. So obviously taking it back to when we could actually start the boot camp, we still had a lot of COVID restrictions in place. So even though it was a group boot camp, you're all in like your individual box. But then we formatted some of the workouts to end on a kind of you go, I go kind of format. So you're working with, say if you're my partner opposite, you have like targets to hit or whatever distances, and then that just brings the like team aspect into it straight away. So you need to work together, so you need to talk, and that's how people meet, and that's how it's just built on, and then you get, like I said, like you get like the 6 a.m. crew, the 7 a.m. crew, and then all the way throughout the day, everyone just becomes familiarised with each other, and then it just goes from there. But the group sessions are definitely good. You push yourself as hard as you want to go, but there's always somebody in your ear, normally me on the mic shouting, but it's really good.
It's great though. I do really love to hear that, because sort of when I was younger, my main focus was sport. It was very sport driven. But in sort of the last set of years, I've really come to understand and appreciate what sort of the fitness world is all around, and it's just great to hear that that's something that's being created, because I can feel that would be such a motivating factor for, you know, someone that even was relatively sedentary before, where they can just sort of come in and then they can, you know, meet this group of people and have that extra motivation. And do you have quite a disparity between like ability levels and things like that?
The ability level is like very varied across. There's not like a class for different, like a beginner or whatever. There's just like progression in the session or regressions as well from exercise they might not be able to perform. So everybody can start at like a base level and then build their way up, which was like really good to see at the Barn Games, because you can just see from where they started to where they're at now, like strength to strength, and their fitness levels are just like through the roof. So it's like a really nice thing to see.
Well, it's great to hear that you've entered into this profession, because from what it at least sounds like, it's something that you're really enjoying. And I'm sure that when you signed up to or sort of went to join the profession, that you had these certain perceptions and or knowledge of like what the job was going to entail and what you're going to need to do. But I think like in any job, there's certain things that get mentioned on the job description, and then there's things that do not get mentioned on the job description. Do you have any particular things that now you have to do either quite regularly or you know, it's certainly part of your job, whether that be positive or negative, that sort of sticks out in your mind at all?
So I think I've been quite lucky in terms of going into if I had nobody around me that could give me advice on the profession I was going into, but obviously, you know, my very good friend Sam Bowen. Another name drop.
Another Matt. Hey, if you need some positivity in your life, that's the man to go and have a little watch.
So obviously he's been there to give me a lot of advice. Like, he's 10 years into the job. He knows what he's doing. And then, yeah, like I said before, Steve at Strive gave me a lot of guidance, but it still doesn't really get you ready for like the interaction you have with your clients or how to gain clients. That's one thing that you never get taught. So you get taught how to do your job through like your training and everything. But it's not like you do your training and then you stop. It's just a constant learning curve and progression. That's like the thing that I love the most about this. Is like there's not really an end to how good I can become at my job. There's always something to learn.
Always something new.
There's literally always something new. And every client might have a different problem, different injury, like certain things they've gone through in their life that they want to talk to you about. Because this is a really safe space for them, like being with a personal trainer. So there's so many more factors to their training session than like the amount of sleep they got, or like for example, they might have broken up with their partner, like at the start of the week, or how is that going to affect them for the next 6 weeks or whatever. Like, there's so many different things that you don't really think about when you're becoming a personal trainer, and a lot of people don't realise like what you do as a personal trainer. It's not just turning up for a training session and you're going to get massive muscles and then
the classic belief. It's more than that.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, we're gonna touch on that big time, because I sort of want to talk to you a little bit around sort of mental health and things like that. But before I dive a little bit more into your client-based side of things, but in terms of actually your own lifestyle and your own experience, because you know, certainly for myself, I'm looking forward to in the future trying to actually go through a personal training qualification itself for similar reasons to what you hold, and then also to a smaller extent, but still I think a worthwhile thing to mention for my own benefit, for me to have a complete and better understanding of how to, you know, go about certain things. But do you feel that over the last year there's things within your own lifestyle that, you know, you've had to, or you haven't necessarily had to change, but you have changed as a result of the things that you've learned, and can you name any of those?
Oh, definitely. Obviously I used to work in construction. It's a very unforgiving kind of environment to be in. Yeah, like health and fitness isn't part of being in construction. Like, as you can imagine.
I can imagine.
Long hours, like just grab what you can from whatever shop, like no questions asked. You don't think consciously about what you're eating. Although I had like a long kind of career in football, like from a young age, obviously nutrition's massively important, but as you go through life, things can change. You can get sloppy, like with my former job, which is why I had to make that decision to change. Like, I wasn't happy with where I was. So yeah, definitely, like...
Would you say the food was like the major change, or do you think that there was...
probably my food. I haven't been like terrible, but like for my own standards, I knew that I was letting myself slip. But yeah, obviously, like to help everyone else as well. Yeah. Practicing what I preach is like massive for me. You've like probably seen I've just been through a 12-week transformation.
A very impressive transformation at that.
Yeah.
How was the experience?
So it was good. The reason I did it, I finished kind of like a strength training cycle. Managed to get up to like pretty decent weight that I haven't been to before. It felt like strong, had a few like performance targets to hit. And then from there, I thought, all right, this is time to do it. Now, blocked out the time that I knew I could commit to, because ultimately that's it. Like, if there's hurdles in the way, you need to understand how you're going to get over them.
Yeah.
I think we had like Easter thrown in there, a few other bits.
Which is a game changer when you've got...
Which can be a game changer,
especially this year as well, because obviously there's been so many limiting factors on things that you do, that sometimes it can be hard to really stick to that. But you managed to stick the whole 12 weeks?
So like my 12 weeks was good, and then we managed refeed days around whenever we needed to. But I put myself through it to see how my clients would react to the same like pathway and kind of like any obstacles they might have. So
you're putting I really like that idea that, you know, whatever the client is going to do, you've done yourself, you know the experience, you know what it feels like. And there's I think, as you said previously, that, you know, the personal training goes just so much beyond just turning up for a fitness session in some way. It's that, you know, there's so many other factors to consider, which again, we'll touch on again in a second, because I think it's a really important topic to talk about. But to bring back to actually how you and I started chatting, because we have a mutual friend anyway that we sort of made a connection through in some sense. But a lot of what I learnt about you was through social media, through Instagram and other things. And certainly from, you know, what I've seen on your page, it's something that's growing and developing every single day, and especially with the backdrop of that Barn Fitness Man, like it's looking absolutely wicked. But at the same time, you know, social media can be really helpful, great for networking, but also for learning. And I was curious to know, you know, how much. I appreciate that it wouldn't be like, you know, necessarily that all of your education comes from there, but do you feel like you've had, you know, quite a number of learning experiences just based off things you found on social media?
Yeah, massively. So a little hack that I do is I obviously follow a lot of people in the fitness industry, people that I like. There's a lot of people that you follow and you might like something they do and other things you might not like. So a little hack is I normally go to their Instagram page. They've normally got like a link tree or whatever, loads of free information. Download all of it, and then in my spare time when I'm learning or like want resources to go through, I spend time looking through all of everybody's free stuff. And like these are like experts in the industry, so I take things from there that I can learn from, that I can use and like do myself with my clients. But that's like such a handy tool.
I bet.
And yeah, just like a little hack to get, I don't know, to like improve my own like performance when I'm with clients. Like I said, learning's huge for me. So, but yeah, and then like obviously social media, you see videos and people talking, lives and stuff that I like listening into. It's pretty endless. Like,
if there was one thing that I have found in the last year, because like prior to last year, although I was, you know, on social media and stuff, I wasn't necessarily posting consistently, whereas sort of linked into Serotonin now I am much more frequently. But it is literally endless. It is literally endless, and as you've sort of rightly pointed out, you can find so many great resources on there. And then other days, sometimes you can feel like you've fallen down a rabbit hole of some form. But, you know, linked into it being endless, obviously people have to work quite hard to try and stand out in some way. And, you know, what do you think, or how do you feel you're able to navigate sort of the fitness world, maybe with the online presence, whilst managing to stay as your authentic self? Are there certain things that you have to remind yourself of as you as a person, or?
Nah, never. Like, just be yourself, literally. There's a lot of people that play up for the camera, but you'll get found out eventually. We see it all the time. We see like fitness influencers just making up whatever they can to get a bit of clickbait, but yeah, just like be true to yourself. There's more to life than being famous on Instagram. And that's that. If that isn't something true, I suppose the point I always remind myself of is that if
if your account got accidentally deleted in one day, what have you got left? Yeah. Is there anything, you know, sustainable for you to utilize? But
you see like people trying to get, I don't know, engagement or grab clients all the time, but forgetting about the ones they've already got, which is like vital. So.
And from what it sounds like you've got going on at Barn Fitness as well, it feels like it is a very personal or personable relationship that you're starting to build with the clients that you've got there, which is very amicable and hopefully of real benefit to those that you actually coach. Yeah. Which sort of brings me to think about a bit around your clients themselves, and something that we talk about on Serotonin all the time focuses around mental health, because certainly over the last year in particular, it's started to at least be more mainstream media worthy. It's probably the emphasis I would put. So it's a bit more of a conversation than it was previously. But how frequently are you having to talk, or do you talk to your clients about mental health or sort of any variation?
Every week, like every session. I mean, every conversation you have with somebody anyway in life should start with like, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Like that's
the number one.
It's the number one. That is literally how it should start. So like so key. I obviously do check-ins every week, like an online check-in, so they can fill that form out. I can see, so I do it on a Monday, and then the week is ahead of us, so I can talk about anything that they have struggled with or want to talk about or want to share, and then just go from there. But yeah, literally all the time. It's not just like a thing that we chat about for a bit and then goes away.
Yeah, it's not like a tick box type situation.
It's just like a constant thing that we should. Yeah, I mean, it's really good that the awareness is there now, but it's not ever going to go away. Like, it's constant. But people are just more aware of it now, which is really good.
Yeah. Do you feel like in some scenarios or with some clients that you feel like you are beyond what you would, you know, define as a personal trainer, or do you feel that
hugely? There's there's times when I've had conversations with people about mental health, eating disorders, and that's like, some of that's completely out of my remit. So that's when I outsource to other people that I know can help, like professionals.
Oh, that's great that you're able to signpost.
Yeah, and that is like really important for me. So they go and get that help whilst carrying on with me, and then it's like a really good combination for them. So
yeah, I imagine even from your own perspective that it helps you to maybe reflect on your own position, because I'm aware that, you know, when it comes to personal training, and I mean like in a number of professions, but I do know you have to be slogging those hours. Like you've got to be working quite a lot to because obviously people work at different times, so you have to sort of manage where they're at. And yeah, do you feel like it's maybe just the conversations you're having with others has allowed you to be, you know, open and honest with those around you, how you're feeling and coping? So it sounds like you do.
Definitely, but there was a point in my life where I didn't want to talk about mental health, being maybe being a male.
Definitely. Well, I've certainly felt it.
You don't feel comfortable, or you feel weak and vulnerable, I guess.
Yeah. It feels like there's such a difference between talking about your physical health and your mental health. It feels like, well, this shouldn't even be a factor for me. But
I think it got to a point when my girlfriend kind of kept bashing at the door when we was on holiday. Where were we? Greece. Santorini. You can picture it.
Beautiful.
Sunset.
Beautiful. I can see
sitting it. There, but like was very vacant, and obviously like she could tell. That's kind of when my mind started to kind of like realise that I needed to really make a change.
So this was prior to your personal training?
Yeah, probably like 6 months before. Yeah, so it would have been like the summer before. And it took me 6 months, 7 months to make a change. But yeah, every day was a slog up until that point.
I can bet. It's great that now you're in a position with others where you can be that person to go to and hopefully encourage more consistent conversations around that topic, because as you've said before, it's so important to look at things beyond just the physical aspect. It's that what's happening with your nutrition, what's happening with your sleep, what's happening on with your mental health, what's going on with your social well-being, and it sounds like you're in a really good place to be able to
there's so many different variables there,
I feel like this is the thing I was trying to think about. There's so many things I could basically ask you here, because we could go down. I haven't even dared to touch nutrition because I feel like that could be its own thing. But to sort of wrap up sort of our conversation today, which has been great. But there's two things. First of all, do you feel like you've started to understand some common reasons why someone has struggled to maybe maintain a fitness plan? Any thoughts that you have on that?
So social media is a big one for this. Like, you see all the fancy, flashy exercises and new routines, new plans. But you would have seen on my page, like, do the basics, be consistent. The same, like, boring thing that nobody wants to do is going to get you the best results that you want. And then after, like, really owning all of these things, like the basics, then you can move on to the things you see on Instagram. The fancy exercises with the big muscles and whatever you want to see on Facebook or Instagram. Just like, I think people hop and like skip to program, whereas see the program through, trust it, and then move on to something new.
Do you feel that that's maybe like a knock-on consequence of just the situation we are in as a society now, where basically it's instant gratification? We're able to get things quite quickly, and that people, they'll see, look at how amazing they are, let's do their program, and then it sort of ruins their own. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, the generation today is like, that's why they've made TikTok so short, because the attention span of like even adults and children is like so short. Like, they're clever. They've made it short, so that's it. Your attention's there, and then it's gone.
It's quite incredible, the development of...
I think that's why they made Netflix. Was it like 40 minutes normally?
Oh, the typical episode and stuff?
The typical episode is shorter, because they know that nobody can sit there and watch a whole film for like 1 or 2 hours. It's clever.
It is because in so many, it works on so many levels, doesn't it? Because people are busier in some regard, which means that they try and fit in a shorter window of things. And as you say, it's like that slot machine effect, isn't it? You can it's that quick release. It's crazy to see where that will go. I'll be very interested to see how those platforms sort of continue onwards. But as a last question to you, I wanted to get your advice on 3 tips, and that it can be in relation to anything that you want it to be. But for someone that maybe is currently leading a relatively sedentary lifestyle, what 3 tips would you give them to help them start living a healthier lifestyle?
Cool. So first tip is like activity straight away. Like, everybody's got time to go for a walk in the morning, go for a walk in the evening. Like, I have people that are in high position jobs that I coach, and they manage to get out and go for a walk in the morning.
They make the time.
So it's all about taking action, literally. It all boils down to it every single time.
Just move.
Yeah, just move, literally.
Not just move, let's move. Let's move. There it is.
Had to drop that in there.
It was that was the one.
So, activity, headspace. Like,
great one.
Learn to talk. Even if you can't talk to somebody, go and get professional help. Self-development is so important, and anybody who thinks they don't need it is wrong. Like, literally, every coach needs a coach. So just go and speak to somebody, and that'll just be the start of your journey.
Yeah.
And third tip would be when waking up in the morning, think about why you're eating what you're eating.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like a huge thing, and a massive thing that's changed in my life as well.
It's just the change in relationship you hold with food now.
Yeah. Relationships are so important.
Yeah. Well, 3 amazing tips. A great conversation. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you for having me.
No worries at all. And I wish you all the luck with the MacFit Group and everything that's going on at the barn, because it all sounds great, and
exciting times.
To have someone like you as a coach, I think would be of real value to anybody. But for those that maybe want to find out a little bit more about you, where would they find out about you?
At the MacFit Group on any social media platform is more than enough. That's all they need.
You can find the website on there. You can find it all there. Some wicked beanies as well on there, which I do.
Everything.
I had to get that in. But yeah, thank you so much for watching as well. If you want to find out a little bit more about the MacFit Group, he's told you where to go. If you want to see more content like this, then make sure you follow us on Instagram as our main one at the moment, at Serotonin Sessions or Serotonin_sessions. But for now, again, Lewis, thank you so much.
Right, thank you.
And I'll see you later on.